Runaway Mould Nanite farms are the latest trend in the No Man's Sky community, but can they actually get you 100k nanites per hour if you really push things to the max? No. They can get you above and beyond 200,000 nanites per hour. I was originally put off the idea of the Runaway Mould farm as it involves exploits, but it also involves one hell of a lot of effort too. You aren't just getting something for nothing. To get these 200,000 nanites or more per hour, you will be very active for that hour. So it's up to you whether this crosses your line or not. First are the basics. This farm works by mining curious deposits. These are those spherical stones you find on most planets in a small cluster. When destroyed, they drop some runaway mould. Runaway mould can be refined into nanites. That on its own is fine and not at all exploity. However, the way to farm them efficiently is to trigger the deposits to respawn. Simply travelling far enough away from the cluster of deposits to cause them to unload is enough, as upon returning they will load back in. This essentially means that the destruction of a curious deposit is not something that is tracked in your save file. The easiest and quickest way to get out of a load range is to use a short range teleporter. You just have one teleporter at the cluster connected to another at least 600U away. This distance of 600U was proposed to me in chat on Sunday's livestream, but it proved to be perfect for me, though I have heard of others requiring less or more distance, so it may be a case of testing that for yourself, to ensure the distance is long enough to trigger the unload before you get too invested with the building of the base. Before we get into a step-by-step build guide for this farm, there are a few other details on the game mechanics that are really important. First off, not all curious deposits will give you the same amount of runaway mould. In fact, the amount they give you is based on a few things. Each curious deposit will give a different amount to the ones around it, but each specific curious deposit will always give the exact same amount of runaway mould. If you destroy one deposit, note how much it gave you, then reload or move far enough away and come back. Then destroy that exact same deposit again. It will always be the same. That is, unless you boost its output. Curious deposits are affected by the optical drill multi-tool attachment, meaning you can increase the amount that drops by almost double if you configure your multi-tool technology correctly. Here is a blueprint of the correct layout for this technology to get the most out of it. This is pulled from the Stasis Device Mega Guide and is still 100% accurate. The important thing is to have the optical drill in the centre, with all three S-Class upgrades touching a side of the optical drill, though for boosting the amount, C-Class should do fine. This will give you somewhere around 80% extra loot. Another important thing to note is that the loot boost that the optical drill gives you is passive based on whether you have the multi-tool equipped. This was seen with its effect on harvesting crops, but this also works whether you use the mining beam, NMS beam, or even an exocraft mining laser to mine the curious deposits. This is fantastic as it gives us more options. On that note, Beeblebum did some testing and found great success using the Minotaur as a method of mining the deposits. It is faster than the mining beam at mining the deposits, though it's hard to control as you are required to use it in first person in a compact indoor setup. I personally much prefer the NMS beam as it is around the same mining speed as a Minotaur, but easy to control, though it does have a downside of requiring fuel such as dihydrogen, but it doesn't require that much fuel and I certainly think it is worth it. Lastly, on the extra mechanics is that you can actually manipulate the ground to spawn more deposits in a cluster. Not all clusters of curious deposits are created equal. Some have 6, some have 11, some have even more. And something curious that I noticed while testing is that my primary cluster grew from 11 to as many as 15 at one point. This was caused in some way by my manipulation of the terrain when building floors and then restoring the ground. Provided I did not further manipulate the terrain, these changes with the base there seemed permanent. So it is worth keeping an eye as you build to see if the amount of deposits increases or even decreases, as if you alter the ground where a deposit sits, it will more than likely just disappear and not return until you have fully restored that piece of land. Regardless, my primary cluster has 13 up from the initial 11 since I finished the work on the base, boosting its total output by well over 1,000 runaway mould. To build this farm, the first step you will need to take is to find a planet that has curious deposits on it. It would seem that most planets do have these, and the planet I went for is a recent discovery by John Hall. an absolutely beautiful world in Eissentam, the 10th galaxy, with pale purple vibes at night and greens in the day. You are all welcome to both build here or just use my farm or other people's farms. The next step is to find a cluster, and as not all clusters are created equal, with the amount of deposits being different per cluster as well as the amount of runaway mould they all drop being different, it pays to look around. The more time you invest in looking for a good cluster, the higher the output of your final farm. Once you have found a cluster, you should mark it with a beacon and head either directly north or directly south. Another tip from Beeplebum, as he noticed they do follow the north to south spawning lines. You are looking for a second cluster within 2000 U, which at that range would show as 8 minutes on foot, and no closer than 600 U. Having a second cluster you can teleport to unload the first will dramatically increase your efficiency. With both of your clusters marked, you'll need to place your base computer in the location where each of those clusters are within 1000 U. This is because base building boundaries can be expanded to no more than 1000 U radius of the base computer. Now you'll need to extend the base boundary to reach both of these clusters, though if one of them is within 300 U, you won't need to expand in order to reach that one. To expand the base boundary, first you must unlock it, so get in and out of your ship or save via a beacon or save point, then reload that new save. This will unlock it. Then just make your way to the cluster that is outside of the boundary, and at around 300 U from the base computer where your build menu transitions to the standard with no walls and such, standing within the boundary, start placing a wooden wall or just something else easy to spot in front of you as you head to the cluster. Each of these items will expand the boundary around them and essentially make a little buildable area tunnel toward your cluster. With both clusters expanded to, you can start building. One base will just need a funnel and a platform, the other will need a funnel, platform and around 40 refiners. You could ease the load by having 20 refiners at each cluster. You'll need a place to stand where you can see all of the deposits easily. I would suggest putting this platform at the bottom of a slope where the curious deposits are. Curious deposits will start moving when shot, and they will naturally roll downhill, so you'll want to put the platform where they will roll, and place walls in a sort of cone shape, so that they'll roll toward where you're standing. You will also want to put the teleporter right behind where you'll stand, so that you can dart in and out and are ready to shoot right away. With refiners, their inventories are legendarily janky, and placing them too close to each other can make them even more unstable, so try to have the refiners at least a large floor away from each other. But it is good practice to have the refiners easy to reach so you aren't wasting precious seconds running upstairs or worse. By default, No Man's Sky limits you to 2 refiners of a particular type per area, but we can get around this limit with glitch building. By using the adjacency glitch, you can green state and build large or medium refiners with ease and to an unlimited number. I built all large refiners and used the medium refiner to glitch them in. The basics to perform this glitch are that you have, say, your medium refiner ready to build in a green state and rotated how you wish, and then simultaneously press the button or key to move in the menu to the adjacent item you wish to build and press the build button or key. On PC, this is E and left mouse click at the same time to build the item to the right. The rules are that the item you are glitching from must be green and ready to build, and you must have the materials required to build the item you are glitching to. For PC users, I have made macros for the adjacency and wide glitches. I'll link the web pages for those below. To learn much more about glitch building, I recommend you check out Beeplebum, a master glitch builder who has made more tutorials on the subject than anyone else. With your platform, funnel, teleporter and refiner set up, you'll now need to connect those teleporters. You could make relays, but personally I prefer the straight route. But this also requires glitching, as by default teleporter cables cannot stretch more than 200 U. Beeplebum has a video called the 2K teleporter which explains the process, but it is quite simple. Have one teleporter built and ready, and at the other aim your cursor where the teleporter will be, and select the curved pipe. Now rotate the pipe so it is facing where the back of the teleporter will be and build it. Next go to the built teleporter and select the teleporter cable and connect it. With one end of the teleporter cable connected, switch in the menu to the teleporter itself. You'll notice if you switch back to the cable, the first connection is still there. Run to the curved pipe with the teleporter selected, making sure to not run out of the buildable area. This is why having those walls that are easy to see is so important. Once back at the curved pipe, just aim the teleporter to be built on the tip top of the curved pipe and adjacency glitch to the teleporter cable. If done correctly, the second end of the cable will build, and you can then delete the pipe and build the teleporter where you had planned, and the wire point should be in the right location to connect. Your teleporters will now work over that long distance. At this point in the build, you are done. You can of course build landing pads and galactic trade terminals, but I would suggest not building much more of anything at the refiner's sites, as the more you build there, the more unstable their inventories could become. To use this farm, simply equip your NMS beam, shoot all of the deposits, then teleport to the other and shoot all of those. If you have your multi-tool set up correctly with the optical drill, 2 clusters should give you a little over a stack of runaway mould, so every time you get a full stack, put it in the refiner and start it, then carry on mining. It takes just under 20 minutes to refine a stack of 10,000 to 2,000 nanites, which is why we have 40 refiners, so that you have enough where the first is done by the time you've filled the last and you can just keep cycling. I will warn you that I expect Hello Games to fix this exploit. I expect it would be fairly simple. They would just need to make the curious deposits something that the save files track, and that would stop this completely. So bear that in mind for the amount of time you wish to spend investing in building this. It really is a good bit of fun though. Thank you fine folk for watching. Be sure to subscribe for more No Man's Sky content, comment, like and share to help get the word out, and if you wish to support Xaine's World like the X-Men on screen now, there is a Patreon and YouTube memberships below. Don't forget to check out the Discord and website, all linked below. Have a fantastic day.